Element 3 is reach. One of the biggest mistakes people make when starting out is thinking they always have to chase clients, but that's not how the game should be played. Right from the start, you need to be thinking about how to make clients come to you. Recently, I was looking for a graphic designer for a specific task, making movie-style posters. So the first thing I did was look on TikTok for people who made these kinds of designs, and one person dominated the search results. So I reached out to him and asked him for his prices. He told me he was just posting some of his designs for fun on TikTok. He wasn't even doing it as a side hustle, so politely declined. However, his videos kept growing in popularity and his inbox was flooded with DMs asking to work with him. A few weeks later, he reached back out to me asking how to start getting paid. I helped him set up a proper business and now he works for me and many other clients. This just goes to show that you should always be putting your work out there online, even if you're just starting out or just doing something because you enjoy it. You never know what opportunities might come from it. So if you edit videos, show before and after clips to highlight how much better your edits make the content. If you design thumbnails, explain why your design got more clicks. And if you're learning social media, document how you're growing an account from scratch. Element 4 is automation. 95% of people that try to start a side hustle or business fail before they even really get going. Here's why. After working with countless copywriters, thumbnail designers, web developers and video editors, I can tell you that 95% of them promise to deliver on time, then completely miss their deadlines. The thing that will make you stand out the most isn't talent or charisma, it's reliability. And overlooking this is the biggest mistake young people make when starting out. The people I've ended up paying thousands to aren't always the best at what they do, but they're the most organized. They never miss deadlines, they always communicate clearly, and they make working with them effortless. So take it from me, being good at what you do is one thing, but being reliable is what gets you paid again and again. So how do you do this? Well, the most successful people I know don't rely on memory or messy notes. They use automation. And if you're thinking about making money online, you need something to help you keep track of everything. That's why I recommend using a CRM system. Odoo CRM is great. It helps you remember who you talked to, what they wanted, and what you need to do next. Instead of scrolling through emails or DMs trying to find what the client said, everything is in one place. I mean, you can visualize all your opportunities with this cool board, which helps you see the expected revenue at each stage, so you know where to focus your efforts. You can also use it to schedule calls and meetings effortlessly. Plus, with your emails, notes and files all in one place, staying organized is very easy. You can use it to easily track your clients and projects so you never miss a deadline. You can set reminders to follow up with people so you always look professional. At the end of the day, clients don't just want someone skilled, they want someone they can count on. As I was planning on talking about them anyway, I reached out to Odoo to see if they wanted to sponsor this portion of the video, and they agreed. They also offer your first application completely free with unlimited support and hosting, so if that interests you, I'll drop a link in the description. I don't care how much money you make, until you see at least $1 million in your bank, you shouldn't be wasting it. The supercars, the designer clothes, the nights out, none of it matters unless you can turn your income into long-term wealth. The rich see their income as something to spend, whereas the wealthy use it to make more money. So how do you do this? Well, you need to start investing. In front of me, I've got a risk scale, and I'm going to walk you through the 4 key areas where I put my money, starting from the safest investments all the way up to the highest risk plays. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing what's worked for me over the years. Let's kick this off with my high interest savings account. They call it a high interest savings account, but honestly, at 3%, I have no idea how to get away with that name. Now, sure, you can find better rates if you're willing to lock your money away for a set period or agree to strict deposit limits each month. But I don't want my savings held hostage. I want access to my money when I need it, not stuck behind some rule that says I can only withdraw on the first Tuesday of every leap year. And I know what some of you are thinking, Mark, this isn't really investing, this is just holding cash. And yeah, you've got a point. But having some cash on the sidelines means you're not forced to sell investments at the wrong time. Imagine the market crashes and you suddenly need money for an emergency. If you don't have cash saved up, you'll have no choice but to sell stocks at a loss, and that's the fastest way to lock in a bad decision. A high interest savings account is like your financial safety net. It's not about making big returns, it's about having a buffer so that when life throws unexpected expenses at you, you're covered without wrecking your long-term investments. Investment 2 is index funds. Have you ever heard the saying, it only takes the price of a coffee a day to become a millionaire? Well, that's down to index funds and ETFs. I've made a lot of money from simple long-term index fund investing, and as an added benefit, it's extremely low maintenance. There are tons of different index funds and ETFs, but the most popular buzzword, of course, is the S&P 500, which is 503 of the top publicly traded companies in America, all packed into one easy investment. Even though this is the biggest index fund in my portfolio by percentage, I do also invest into a total stock market fund. The best I found for US investors is VTSAX, and for the UK people is the VWRL ETF. Additionally, I think it's important to have some money invested in an emerging market index fund. The best I found in the USA is the VWO, and in the UK is the VFEM ETF. But there are lots of other emerging market funds available, so it's worth having a bit of a look around. If all those index fund names made you glaze over, then here's an awesome fact to wake you up. The average return of the S&P 500 over the last 10 years has been over 10%, which means if you invest just $5 instead of buying a coffee every single day from the age of 18 to 67 and achieve the same return, then you'd retire with over $1 million. And if you don't want to wait until you're 67, just invest more money. That's what I've done for many years, and it's worked really well for me. Investment 3 is individual stocks. Now, this is where things get exciting. Individual stocks can be a great way to start investing, especially with smaller amounts of money. They allow you to get hands-on experience with the market in a way that index funds don't. When I first started, I really enjoyed picking stocks and learning how to read companies' financial statements. Honestly, if I hadn't actually invested my own money, I doubt I'd ever have been motivated to understand how it all worked. That's why, when you're starting out, individual stocks can feel more engaging. Of course, they also come with higher risk. But if you're only investing a small amount, it can be a useful way to learn how the market moves without putting too much at stake. Another big advantage is that you get direct exposure to specific companies. With index funds, even if a company is performing incredibly well, it may only make up a small part of your portfolio. With individual stocks, you get to experience those gains more directly. But of course, this means more ups and downs, which is something to keep in mind. By the way, Trading 212 are currently giving away a free fractional share worth up to £200 when you use the code Tilbury and fund your account. So if you want to pick that up, I'll leave the link in the description below. Investment 4 is cryptocurrency. When Bitcoin first came out in 2009, I, like a lot of people, just assumed it was a scam. I was used to investing in real tangible assets like property and stocks, things backed by actual companies. The idea of some digital currency with no one in charge seemed way too risky. But as time went on, I started paying more attention. By early 2019, I decided to dip my toes in, and over the last few years, I've been steadily buying more Bitcoin and Ethereum. Looking back, it's been a solid move, and it's made me a decent amount of money. Now, I won't deny that altcoins and meme coins can make people crazy returns, but they're also way riskier. For every person who makes a fortune, there's plenty who lose it just as fast. These days, I'd say I'm a lot more bullish on crypto, but I'm still playing it smart, building my position slowly, dollar cost averaging, and making sure I'm not just jumping in at bad prices. Of course, crypto is super volatile, and like any investment, it carries risks. That's why it's important to do your own research and only invest what you can afford to lose. If you're ready to learn how to invest in everything I just talked about, then I'll leave that video right up there.